So yeah, Rick Wiles. Like I said, we've covered this guy multiple times. And apparently this time my stream deck's gonna work, which is great. But we're gonna look at Right Wing Watch. We're gonna see what they have to say about him. But apparently, like with everything that goes on with evangelicals, especially your entrenched fundamental ones, that to them the Bible is reality no matter what, and no matter what happens to be disproven. To these types of people, anything that is slightly adjacent to Christianity is wrong and bad and needs to be stomped out and beat down with a crucifix. Rick Wiles is not unlike that. You could hand him fascism very easily, so long as you dress it up with the proper crosses. So let's go ahead and take a look. We started this just a second ago. Took only a second for us to get to a relevant point. So let's just do it again.
A man
In a dress.
in a dress.
Okay. Like I said, that didn't take long to get to. That didn't take long to get to at all. Let's go ahead and say a couple things here. Some truisms. One, trans women are women. Trans men are men because they have transitioned to men or transitioned to women. Or just in general, gender, and I can provide sources for this for people who desperately need it explained to them for the 1000th fucking time. Gender is a social construct. Are social constructs real? Yes. They're as real as you make them. What's an example of a social construct? Well, money. Money is only as real as you make it. It only has the value that you agree on. Just like gender. Gender only has the values we agree on. If we agree that certain things are performative and therefore aligned with a particular gender, then congratulations, something is of that gender. One of those things that most people are okay with agreeing is part of that performative bit is identification, your personal identification. If you personally identify as the opposite gender or not as either, then congratulations, it's where you are. So.
Not a dress, probably.
You're mentally ill.
Nope. So while gender dysphoria is its own, I don't want to say illness because of the stigma that's attached to it, but while gender dysphoria is a thing that needs to be dealt with and can be dealt with medically or performatively depending on the severity of the gender dysphoria, to just go, no, you're a man, you're mentally ill, that's literally you just saying, my reality is better than yours, without any actual qualifier to that. And then fighting with that. You're just saying, hey, as an example, if I were to play Rick Wiles for a second, all men wear blue jackets. All men wear blue hoodies, jackets, whatever. If you don't wear one of these, you're not a man. So then, if a woman were to wear this, they would suddenly be a man here. Now, my estimation of this is purely my own. This is not true. This is just me throwing out an arbitrary marker and saying that's the thing I'd consider a man. That's what Rick Wiles is doing here. He has an arbitrary marker of what he considers to be a man. But the thing is that when you ask people like this what that arbitrary marker is, they will move the goalpost 1,000 times. An example conversation that happens a few times. So let's say you see somebody who has an hourglass body, breasts, a very, very feminine voice, and you say hi to them. You say, hi, ma'am. They say hi back. You literally can tell nothing. They shake your hand. Everything is completely and totally standard. You've shaken the hand of a woman. You've known this person as a woman for 2 years. And then suddenly, after 2 years, it is mentioned in passing, randomly, that she has a penis. The reality of this could be a handful of things. It could be that this is a non-binary person who is perfectly comfortable with the idea of presenting femme and taking femme pronouns, but wanted specifically to have a penis because that's the particular combination of things that prevents their dysphoria. I know at least two people who fit this category. Or this is somebody who was assigned female at birth and then surgically gained a penis, or this is somebody who was assigned male at birth and took HRT or had top surgery and just never decided to have bottom surgery. They might be having it next week. They might never have it. It doesn't matter. This is a person you've known as a female who has performed female and who has been female to you forever, but then they have that one little criteria, that one thing that makes you go, no, you're a man. Now, remember that I pointed out that this could be a assigned female at birth person who surgically had a penis added, therefore hitting your criteria for what you consider a man. Or this could be an assigned male at birth person who has had surgery up here, or just HRT, and has not had surgery down there. Might have it, might not, doesn't matter, not your fucking business. So, is it the person who was born female? Are they a man because they've grafted a penis? Or is it the person over here because everything about them is female, but that was the stuff that was grafted? Which is it? Like, what is it? Because this person, either of these people, are completely plausible in this scenario. And in either scenario, if Rick Wiles were to be the person to say that you're a man because you have a penis, they're wrong. This could be assigned female at birth, assigned male at birth, but what happens is people like Rick and people that think like him, so rigidly and narrowly, they think if you have a penis, you must have been a male at birth, and whatever you are at birth is what you maintain going forward. Except, like I said, that's not the case. One of these hypothetical people didn't function this way. So we're going to continue with the clip, but just keep all that in mind, just as things when you're talking about gender, we're not talking about sex. We're talking about gender. So none of the penis part doesn't even matter, but if somebody tries to use that as their criteria, again, you could throw an assigned female person in here. You can throw an assigned male person here. You can do this with any number of people, and it completely fucks that. And then they have to go, they don't go, oh, I was wrong about that, let me correct myself. They generally go, no, I still have to be right. Let me find some way to still be right. Let me find some way to continue to misgender this person. Because to them, it's not misgendering. To them, they're trying to say this is the appropriate gender. It's literal reality denial.
Dr. Levine, you're mentally ill, and no normal person should listen to you.
No normal person should listen to you just because you're trans. Just because you're trans. So if we're able to have arbitrary criteria and say nobody should be able to listen to you just because of the arbitrary criteria, fine. Rick Wiles, you're a fundagelical. You're a fundamentalist evangelical. Nobody should listen to you. Nobody should take you seriously. That is my... We're going to play by your rules. That is my arbitrary line. No normal person should listen to you.
You need mental health counseling.
Actually, likely, they have received mental health counseling, Rick. And it is through that mental health counseling that they arrived to the decision of being who they are, of being trans instead of cis, insofar as that's even a choice to begin with, insofar as our personal identities are ever a choice. They received that. I can almost guarantee you, if this person had the means, they've received that mental help. But remember the goalpost thing I mentioned before. It's not about them trying to take their beliefs and construct them around reality. They try to take reality and construct it around their beliefs. They believe this person must be wrong, therefore a mental health professional will agree with them. Now, what does this sound like? You know, we've done MRI scans on the brain, and we found that when people believe vehemently in, like, the triomni God, what they think God wants and believes generally lines up with what they believe. When we do scans, the same area of the brain that lights up for internally held beliefs versus supposing one's own beliefs, that part generally lights up. Now, why does this happen? Well, the reason for that is that when you're looking at people like Rick, again, they don't construct their belief around reality. They're constructing reality, their personal reality, around their belief. The cart comes before the horse to them. They have to have what they believe first, and then everything else goes around that. It's like the evangelical work ethic thing. You'll succeed if you work hard. So if you're working 3 jobs and you haven't succeeded, you're not working hard enough, despite you shoving 120 hours a week in, which, that's more than you're able to shove in the first place. But point is, it's the same mindset. You believe in this axiom. In this example, the evangelical work ethic, the Protestant work ethic. And because you believe in that axiom, anybody who fails to succeed must be failing to live up to the axiom. To make this relate better, they have an axiom for what they believe males are, females are. I know that's a biological term, but please run with me. And anybody who is outside of that must be failing to subscribe to their axiom, must be failing to the presupposition that they're using. But that's all it is. It's a presupposition. Presuppositions are, by their very nature, only ever internally held. They are not part of reality. This is one of the issues you get with presuppositional Christianity as well. When you presuppose God and then everything else has to go forward. You're literally presupposing what you want reality to be, and then arguing that reality must be like that after the fact. This is why it's a good idea, if you're going to do any philosophy shit at all, to learn how to properly identify an axiom, because this isn't it.
You need deliverance. To the people of Pennsylvania, you are absolutely insane if you let that transvestite freak.
Okay, I should have put a content warning for transphobia. I didn't actually know how much was in here. So a transvestite is not the same as a trans person. A transvestite is somebody who is donning clothes, but is not necessarily attempting to perform as a gender. The person Rick Wiles is talking about performs as her gender. Performs as a woman. Performance not meaning gets up on stage and does drag. That's, again, more in line with the transvestite thing sometimes. I'm talking about performative as in these are the things you do day to day. This is how you live out your existence. That's what I mean when I say performative. If you want examples of this, I would suggest looking up a text called Doing Gender. It is from 1984. It's been cited a lot of times. You can find it on JSTOR, but it defines what performative gender is, and it goes into how gender has been performed by multiple societies at multiple stages of development in the last few decades. Well, it's decades old, but it goes through the last few centuries, rather. I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. So there's a citation for you. It's not going to be in the description because this is this is going to be a cut from a live stream. But the fact of the matter is that you need a citation. I have one. I've just thrown it there. Fuck you. So again, he's trying to say that because this person is not performing under his particular axiom, what he deems to be his right, his presupposition, they must be a failure. This is, again, the same thing that happens with Protestant work ethic. I have this idea of what Protestant work ethic looks like. If you're not succeeding, you must be failing this, even if you're performing all of this perfectly, right? So even if every single thing, like let's say Rick said, they believe that a woman is somebody who has a vagina, who has breasts, who can bear children, who... list goes on. I just named basically just biological traits. So again, we're not fucking talking about gender. But let's say that those were the things that he was using. And then we were able to, through surgery, grant this person literally every single thing he considers in his presupposition. And then Rick would say, no, that doesn't count, because he's special pleading. Because that's what presuppositionism is. It's special pleading.
Rule your life. What he just told you he's going to do to you starting this week, November 20th, you're going to obey that transvestite freak? Seriously?
So let's go ahead and go into why this is fucked up again. Because this person is operating outside of what he considers to be his presup, his operational axiom, because they're operating here, he gets to now engage in ad hominem attacks. Now, what's an ad hom? An ad hom is not just an insult. Anybody who tells you that insults are ad homs, they're wrong, and somebody insulted them, and they got upset, and now they are trying to use that as a defense going forward. No. Insults are insults. If I'm having a conversation with you and you say something dumb and I say, you're really fucking stupid, you know that? That's not an ad hom. I'm just telling you what I think about how you operate. I think you're an idiot. But if I say this instead, why should I have to listen to you? You're a fucking idiot. That is an ad hom. Because now I have said, why should I have to listen to you? I have put a category here. Any amount of claims you make, I can now say, why should I address those claims? Because you're an idiot. The idiot is the insult, but because I'm using the idiot as a shield to not talk about your claims, this is ad hom. I am dismissing your claims based on what I consider you to be. So, how does this apply to Rick? Rick is not just insulting this person by saying that they are transvestite freak, which of course is insulting as fuck. They're also saying that nobody should listen to them because of that. Now, I have a question. Let's just throw an example here, right? Let's just throw an example out. If I happen to put on a dress tomorrow, and then I said 2 + 2 = 4, by this logic, Rick Wiles would have to go, nobody should listen to him, he's a transvestite freak. And then, as a result of that, people are going to call into question a basic fucking truism like 2 + 2 = 4. That's a truism so long as we agree that math is real in the abstract. But anyway, fuck philosophy. Anyway, point is, Rick is engaging in a giant fucking fallacy by saying that he can dismiss merely because somebody is trans.
In the state of Pennsylvania,
Mr. Levine has laid out a caste system, a COVID caste system. What he snuck into that little...
He. You keep saying he. This isn't a fucking he. This is somebody who I guarantee you is going to end up a suicide statistic if shit like this continues. Because that's what we see bared out in stats, is that trans people end up having a higher rate of suicide. Now, why is that? People like Rick will try to argue that the reason that happens is because they are trans, therefore they have a higher proclivity for suicide, therefore they need to stop being trans so that their suicide rate goes down. That's not how that fucking works. They can't just say, I guess I'm not trans anymore. It's not how that works. They can't stop being themselves. Just like you can't stop being a dumb shit. They can't get rid of the transphobe, but you can get rid of your bigotry. I don't know if you can get rid of being a dumb shit, but you can get rid of your bigotry. Bigotry is a choice. It simply is a choice. But people like Rick make that choice every fucking day.
Operation, this attrition.
Chase that freak out of the state.
Rick, you're literally advocating for violence. How do you chase someone out of a state without threatening harm? That's just violence, Rick. That's just a call for violence. Of course, it's vague enough that in a legal battle, Rick could say, that wasn't a call for violence. And our dumb shit courts would agree with that. But at the end of the day, that is a call for violence, because how can you functionally chase somebody out of a state without threatening harm to them? I cannot think of a way. Unless you were to entice them to go somewhere else with an incentive. But that's not chasing. That's baiting.
Chase it out of the state.
Well, at least you're closer, but not really. I mean, you went from gendered, he, to non-gendered, it, but you used it, which is a qualifier for an object, so that's still not close enough. Anywhere near fucking close enough.
Rise up in Pennsylvania and chase that freak out of the state.
Rick, if you and I ever are together, I would love to have a conversation with you. A pretty long one. One where you don't get to say that you're older than me, therefore you're more experienced than me. One where you don't get to say that science says one thing when I can literally pull up scientific texts that show that you're fucking wrong. You can say what sex is, maybe, but I know the qualifiers for that. I know that it's gametal representation. I know that's phenotypical representation. I know that it is gonadal representation. I know that it's genitalia representation. I know that it's chromosomal representation. And all of that is just sex. And even sex isn't as binary as we'd want to say, because you still have things like XXY and Klinefelters. But of course, people would go, that's just an anomaly. Well, how many fucking anomalies do you have before we just accept the fact that they should be taken into account for in statistics? And again, that's still just talking about sex, which I guarantee you is all Rick would talk about. He would have the conversation about sex and then say that that's gender. But that's not how that fucking works, and that's not how it's worked for 45 to 50 years. And and this is not based on James Money's shit. This is not based on that. There is other academia on this, and has been for years, showing that this is not how things are. But of course, Rick desperately needs it to be, because he's scared. People like Rick, at the end of the day, we should feel sorry for. And the reason for that is, at the end of the day, reality is going to leave people like this behind. Because at the end of the day, there is no room in a world that would be constructed without people having to resort to violence for people like Rick, who, the minute that something outside of his personal Overton window comes into play, he has to start going, chase it out. There isn't any room for people like this. Now, I'm going to be a better person than Rick. I'm not going to say chase him out. But I would like to have a conversation with him. I would like to have a sit-down with this individual. Ideally, in front of a camera, because then people can be accountable for their words. I would like to make an attempt at changing his mind, but I feel like that is impossible, because I know Rick and I know his brand. And changing his mind would be a sign of weakness for his brand. Finish the video.
You don't have to tolerate this stuff.
So, wait, hold on. So, an elected official, a duly elected official, was brought into an office in Pennsylvania. And because they are trans, you don't have to take it. You can just ignore it. Okay, cool. Cool. Let's take that logic. You know what? I'm fine taking that logic. I am actually okay with that. Would you like to know why? If I can just pick any fucking arbitrary marker as a reason to not listen to somebody, then cool. Throw Trump out of office now. Why should we have to listen to him? He's orange. He's old. What, you don't like me putting random ass arbitrary markers up as my reasons for not liking a duly elected official? Huh. Then maybe you should stop fucking doing it too. I'm not saying you have to accept authority because authority was voted for. But I'm saying arbitrary shit like gender is not a qualifier one way or another. It doesn't matter if somebody is male, female, non-binary. That doesn't matter. None of that changes their decision-making. None of that changes their aptitude. But to Rick, it does. And like I said, the reason for that is a combination of two things. It doesn't line up with his presupposition of how the world works, and he can only operate within that. And because of that, he's scared. Because the world is rapidly changing around him. And one day this is going to happen to me too. 50 years from now, when I'm old and gray, I'm probably going to be the bigot too. There's probably going to be something that I don't agree with because of the way that I was raised. And I'll have no idea what it is until it smacks me in the face. And I'll be faced with the exact same choice. Can I change? Or do I sit here and try desperately to maintain the reality I thought existed, regardless of whether or not that's true? Everybody's going to be faced with the same choice at some point. This is the natural way progress goes. Nothing is ever perfect. We just try to make it more so. Right now we're seeing Rick scared. At some point that's going to be me. Right now it's not. So let me know what you think in the comment section. I know I got worked up in this one a little bit more than usual, but I've got a lot of trans friends, so stuff like this actually makes me pretty fucking angry. I'm not gonna lie.